You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Good evening, Radio 1 listeners. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. Today is Friday, and it's good to be here with you again today. Today, we've got another exciting show for you. We have her on every year. My friend Sylvia Y. Cyrus is here. She is the Executive Director of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, better known as ASALH. It was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. We are so happy to have her here today. She actually sits in the seat that he would once sat in. So welcome to today's show, Sylvia.
Thank you so much, and I'm delighted to be here with you and your listeners.
All right. How are you today, Dr. Julianne Melville? We are so glad to always have you on. How are you today?
I am wonderful, blessed, and highly favored. I hope you are, and Sylvia is as well.
As well.
Yes.
Good to hear your voice.
Yes, indeed. Well, Dr. Julianne, I always like to remind people in case somebody's passing through the city, just driving through Washington, and didn't know who was on the show, Dr. Julianne Melville. She is the one and only. I love giving her background. She is President Emeritus from Bennett College. And she also is the president of the Excel Youth Program of Reverend Jesse Jackson Push. And she's a speaker extraordinaire that travels around the world. She majors in economics, but she comes on and talks to us every week about politics. Let's hear what you have for us today, Dr. Julianne.
Absolutely. Well, 2024 is coming fast. These candidates are jumping out there. The most recent, of course, is Miss Nikki Haley. She's only the first one to declare. We know that Ron DeSantis is trying, but she's come out and declared that she is running for president. She, of course, is a former governor of South Carolina, and she was Mr. Trump's ambassador to the United Nations. This woman announces by saying she's not black, she's not white. She's a woman of color, but not black, not white. I don't know what she is confused. I mean, basically, one can look at her and tell that she's not white. So what is this about? She made a couple digs at President Biden. She has suggested that anyone over 75 need to have a mental competency test. One might also say anybody without sense should have a mental competency test, which would allow her to get one also. But in any case, she's come out there swinging, and but she polls at about 1%. So I don't know what she thinks is going to happen. She's polling at 1%. She didn't make any friends or alliances when she was working for, the Orange Orangutan. So, there will be women and Republican women who might be moderate who will support her. But I just think it's amusing. But what's not amusing was her dig at President Biden. He just got his physical this week, and they released the results of his physical, and they said that he was vigorous and healthy for an 80-year-old man, and that's good. So if the State of the Union was any indication, he will do. He can deliver. He can campaign. Now, what one has to bear in mind, of course, that he's been a world stutterer. So when people talk about him losing his train of thought, sometimes he's just slowing down because he stutters. And we have to have, I think, a whole lot more tolerance for people who come to the table with some disabilities. And stuttering is indeed a disability, especially for a public figure. Now, moving right along, what have we done with our relationship to China? Ordinarily, many of us would not care, except for China is a superpower. China has been building up. Their economy is doing very well. But then they had this little balloon. They said that it was a meteorological research balloon, but it did not belong in U.S. airspace. And certainly I think the United States has every right to defend our airspace. I mean, so there were 3 other objects that were shot down. And we don't know what those objects were. They may have been personal, research, whatever. But we're very skittish about our airspace because they could be spy balloons. So what do? We all have to live in this world. How do we repair our relationship with China? Who needs to take the first step, China or the United States? Lloyd Austin, our Secretary of Defense, has reached out to the Chinese, his Chinese equivalent, and they haven't had a chance to speak because the other man won't talk to him. So, China they're saying it was just a meteorological balloon. Well, then you should have registered it with somebody. They inadvertently lost track of it. I don't know. Anyway, this is going to it's going to come up again and again and again. Now, and the question is, many are asking, did the United States overreact? In my opinion, no. In a word, no. Inflation is coming down, not as quickly as we'd like to see it come down, but it is coming down. Gasoline prices are on the down also. So that's a really good thing. The Fed says that they're going to be raising interest rates again. In fact, the Fed chair, Tom Barkin from Richmond, he says he likes to see the range at 5.25 to 5.5%. Right now, it's about 4.75. So he's looking at another 0.75 of a point increase. Now, it's not going to all happen at one time. What Barkin said and what others have said is they want to go up a 0.25 point at a time, hoping to contain inflation. But inflation is going down. So the question is, what is exactly is a target for inflation? Now, many say inflation should be no more than 2%. And right now, it's a lot more than 2%. It's closer to 6-7%. So it could stand to go down quite a bit, but at what cost? When the interest rates go up, it's harder to get a mortgage, harder to buy a car, harder to get a loan if you're a business. So there's got to be some trade-offs there. And it's not clear to me that the Fed is paying very much attention about the trade-offs at the bottom. We all know what happens at the top of what is happening to people at the bottom. So that becomes the issue with inflation, and we've got to be able to deal with it. Now, we do have 2 African Americans on the Fed, but I'm not sure that either of them is prepared to make any concessions to people at the bottom. So Lisa Cook, of course, amazing black woman on the Fed, and I always forget the brother's name, but he's pretty good too. So in any case, what we were hoping that having those African Americans on the Fed might mean more attention to people on the bottom. But we haven't seen any of that yet, nor have we seen public statements from either of them about this. So those are the main things that are going on in my world, Lyndia, looking at inflation, looking at 2024 and how it's heating up. And, of course, it's still Black History Month. And so one of the things, and I'm sure that Sylvia can speak to this, is the attacks on race in classrooms, the attacks on ethnic studies. The last time I talked about this on your program, there were 36 states who had introduced some legislation. Now it's 44. So it's more than half of our states do not want people to teach ethnic studies. I take that personally because I'm a dean of a college of ethnic studies, and I'm just wondering what we can do to stop this because, the melanin deficient have gone crazy. They don't want race mentioned at all. And this is a problem. So that's it for me this week.
All right. Well, we thank you and appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Have a good
next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right. Bye. All right. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. We're going to go to our commercial break. And when we return, we're going to talk to Sylvia Y. Cyrus.
If it wasn't for my care coach at AmeriHealth, I probably wouldn't be so healthy right now. As a man, we don't get checkups or see a doctor regularly anyways. It's probably just a man thing because none of my partners go either. We know we should, but we just don't and hope it works out.
So what changed for you?
AmeriHealth assigned me a care coach, somebody that gives one-on-one help, answer questions, explain things, and help set my appointments. She also helped me understand what having high blood pressure really means and ways to manage it so it doesn't kill me. It ain't nothing to play with. If you're a member of AmeriHealth, ask for a care coach. I'm glad I got mine.
At AmeriHealth, if you need a care coach, you can have one. Just call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
This is Frank Smith with the African American Civil War Museum in Washington, D.C., located at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest on the Green Line. Did you know that a recent study found that children who visit museums do better in school and in life than children who do not? So parents, teachers, and preachers, let's get moving. I promise you, if you bring your children to the African American Civil War Museum, they will be inspired by the images that they see. They will be impressed by our living history reenactors who are always available, and they will be involved in our scavenger hunt that takes them throughout our exhibit. That's the African American Civil War Museum, 1925 Vermont Avenue. Our hours are 10 to 6:30 on weekdays, 12 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. See it, be inspired.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. In lectures on brotherhood, Miss Parks often said, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired." But that wasn't true. I was not tired physically. I was not old. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. Driven out of Montgomery by harassment and death threats, Detroit, Michigan became her new home. Rosa Parks will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement. Raised in the AME church, she once said, "I remember finding such comfort and peace while reading the Bible."
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at washingtoninformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
All right, and we are back. You're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. We're about to talk to Sylvia Y. Cyrus. She is the Executive Director for the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, better known as ASALH, an organization founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Sylvia, tell us what's going on at ASALH. I just want to remind people, in case you don't say it like this, I want to keep it simple. They set the National Black History theme every year, and it comes out through the White House, and people follow that theme all across America. So I'm going to just turn it right on over to Sylvia and let her take it from here, because this year's theme is
Black Resistance. Black Resistance.
Right.
Thank you, Lyndia. We are so delighted to have our annual time to talk to you and your listeners about Black history. This is an exciting time, but we want your listeners to be empowered, because Black resistance as the theme is what we want everyone to recognize that we can all have a part in. I want you to think about resistance when we talk about that the late, great John Lewis, when he said, "We need to get in good trouble." And this year's theme speaks to that, especially with all the affronts that are happening to Black history. We want to put a highlight on the fact that Black people have resisted historic and ongoing oppression in all forms, especially racial terrorism of lynching and police killings since our arrival on these shores. We have sought for self-determination, and there are individuals in our history, be it education, health, awareness, civil rights, that we can point to that have really shown that if you as one individual will stand up for the rights of our people, that we can make a difference in terms of equal justice and social justice for our people.
Amen. I want to just jump in right quick, Sylvia. While you are explaining more about Black resistance, I'm kind of having you talk to two groups. We have invited you, and you have accepted to be the guest speaker for our Black History Month program for the D.C. Democratic Women's Club. So I have some of them listening today, and that's going to be on Tuesday, February 28th from 7 to 9 p.m. on Zoom. Go to the D.C. Democratic Women's webpage. Just go to D.C. Democratic Women's Club and click on their page and look for the Zoom and look for our Black History Month event. All right, now go ahead and continue to talk to us, Sylvia.
No problem. So when we think about Black resistance, Lyndia, and to your listeners, there are so many Black people who have really taken a stand and have made a difference. Certainly, Dr. Carter G. Woodson himself, the founder of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, was challenged by just how our history was not being recognized and supported. And certainly we are hearing a lot of that today. So we know that 108 years later, and this organization was started in 1915, when Dr. Woodson said, as a people, if we have no written history, no scientific history, then the majority community will think of us as less than. They will think of us as irrelevant, as having no history. And so he started this organization. He and some friends got together in 1915 on September the 9th at the Wabash Y in Chicago, Illinois, came up with the concept of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. He came back from Chicago and incorporated it here in Washington, D.C., and 108 years later, we remain a membership organization with the goal of researching our history, publishing our history, and disseminating that history while we work through branches, which are our chapters, which are located all across this country, where individuals in communities talk about our history and share it with the community writ large. So as you indicated, in addition to the theme, the association has two types of programs. We have a wealth of free programming that we make available to individuals who can go to our website at asalh.org, and you can go to our YouTube channel. We have programs that individuals, if you're doing a Black History Month program, and Lyndia, you know that we don't just do Black History in February. We want individuals to program all through the year. There are plenty of YouTube videos. There are pamphlets that can be printed and shared or shared electronically that we want you to use for free. In addition, there are a couple of events that we have that we use the proceeds to come up with that free content. And on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, February 22nd, we are going to have a really engaging conversation with the Secretary of the Smithsonian, Dr. Lonnie Bunch III, and Professor Gloria Brown Marshall, who is an activist, a professor, a civil rights attorney, and they're going to talk about leadership, especially in these days when Black history is being challenged. So we want you to go to our website, register for that event, and that will be virtual. And we also, this year, will have a play. Now, ASALH is known for having one of the most fabulous Black History Month luncheons held in this nation, but during the pandemic, of course, we were not able to have it. So this year, we are starting out with a baby step. We're having this great play, Campaign 72, which is talking about the political campaign of Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman who had a real chance at running for president. She wasn't the first one, but she really mounted a great campaign. So that one act is going to be on Saturday, February the 25th. And information on the play, as well as on the conversation with Lonnie Bunch and Gloria Brown Marshall, are on our website. And we encourage you to go to our website and check it out. We also, as I indicated, with the free programming, we have programs available on our YouTube channel, which is we finally refer to it as ASALH TV. And you can go there, and if you would just subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a great way of showing your support for Black history so that more people can hear about our programs. And Lyndia, what a lineup of programs that we have that have already taken place this month that are on our YouTube channel, but there are even more events that will take place in the upcoming weeks that we have left of Black History Month.
I love it. I just wanted to let everybody know, I think you're going to have the play over in Southeast at the Ark Len Dyson and his team. Yes.
That's absolutely correct. And Len, we support local businesses, and certainly when it comes to the work of Black artists and those people who, are really doing a good job of getting the story of our history out there, we want to support him. We will also are working with him. There's going to be a panel discussion after the play, the matinee that Asala is sponsoring at 2 p.m. At around 3:30, there will be a free panel of different individuals who will be talking about the theme. They will be talking about Shirley Chisholm. And if you come to the ARC at 3:30, you can participate in that as well. But I'm sure if you want to really get a good seat, that you need to come and register for the Asala viewing at 2 p.m. so that you'll be right there to hear this fantastic play, as well as a really robust panel where members of Congress will be there. Individuals from the African American Museum will be there, and I'm sure that your listeners will really enjoy it.
All right, I love that. I graduated from high school with Len Dyson, so Len, I hope you're listening. I helped put a plug in for you today.
Exactly.
All right. Yes. So Sylvia, we only have a few more minutes, so give us your close. And invite people out to sign up to come to our Zoom for the DC Democratic Women, please.
Absolutely. So I would just like to say, if you leave this with a couple of points that you want to remember that it was Dr. Carter G. Woodson who started this commemoration of Negro History Week, which the association then turned into Black History Month, the entire month of February, but we study history all year long. You can get more information on the founding of the association and events at asalh.org. And of course, this at the end of the month, I am so delighted to be able to talk to the Black Women's Democratic Club here in D.C., where we'll be doing more in terms of a conversation about our theme and talking about some of the wonderful folks in Washington, D.C., who have really led the whole movement for Black resistance throughout the years. So, Lyndia, if we talk about Dr. Woodson, I would just like to also mention that on February 18th, there will be a walk in the footsteps of Dr. Woodson for those here in D.C. that you can go to our website and sign up for. There will be an actor who will be walking the streets as if he were Dr. Woodson from the Mary McLeod Bethune House, ending up back at the Woodson House. So if you're interested in that, go to our website. But there is still a lot of great programming that we want you to support, and even your own faith-based organizations. Make sure your churches and other organizations are having Black History programs or are supporting Asala and the Democratic Women's Club with events that they're having this month.
All right, and our president of the D.C. Democratic Women Club, Mrs. Jeanette Mobley. All right, we thank you for being our guest today, Sylvia, and we invite everyone to go over to Ward 8 to the ARC and participate in the play. It's very exciting. I worked with it last year when they were, I think, having their 40th anniversary, so I got a chance to see the play. The play was magnificent. So we hope that you will join her out Asala and their board and all the dignitaries that she mentioned earlier. So thank you for being our guest today, Sylvia.
No problem. And Lyndia, I'm sorry, I have to mention that on the 23rd, Denise Rolark Barnes and the Washington Informer, the Baltimore Washington Afro, it will have a program at 7 p.m. on our website as well. So we are really highlighting those people in the DMV as a part of our festival as well. So please come out with Dr. Draper and Denise Rolark Barnes and others here in D.C. to support locals who are making a difference in Black history.
All right. I think we got everything in. My friend Sylvia Y. Cyrus, Asala. We will see you on the 28th on Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, you're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. We're going to get ready to close now. We ask that you will listen out for us on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, the Lyndia Grant Show. think on these things and click subscribe. We hope that this show today has been beneficial to you. Sylvia Y. Cyrus telling the story of Dr. Carter G. Woodson and how he founded Asala more than 100 years ago. Next week, hear our National President of Gamma Phi Delta Sorority, Lenore R. Reese, as she talks about our upcoming celebration for the 80th anniversary for Founders Day of the founding of Gamma Phi Delta Sorority. I'm going to close now. Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things. From the Lyndia Grant Show, I just want to say happy Black History Month and continue to teach the history of what our ancestors have done in this country and what they continue to do today. Until next week, good day.
Thank you for listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.